Hi, everyone, and thanks so much for joining. We're really excited to begin, but before we do so, we're going to allow a small grace period for remaining guests to join, and then we'll get started. Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar hosted by Olapic. We're excited to share a fireside chat between our co-founder, Pau Sabria, and our SVP of Customer Success, Justin Picciano. Over the course of this webinar, please feel free to share your questions via the Q&A box. We'll do our best to get to all of them, but if we miss any, we'll follow up right after the webinar. We hope you enjoy the conversation, and without further ado, I'll pass it over to Justin and Pau to get started.
Rachel, thanks. Appreciate it. Pau, how are you doing?
Hi, good. I'm very good.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm doing well. I can't believe that it's December 5th, though.
Yeah. It's fly by. Like this year has been crazy. I think that for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. We had Thanksgiving here in the States. We survived Black Friday.
Yeah.
Cyber Monday.
You survived a big gathering at your home.
Yeah, we did. We hosted 29 people out at our house in New Jersey, and because of it, had to cook 2 birds, one in the oven, and then for the first time ever, cooked a bird on the grill on the barbecue outside. And have to say, for those of you at home who have not tried that, I've got the recipe. Feel free to reach out to me, and I'll hook you up. It was fantastic.
I'm a European, so this Thanksgiving thing I don't necessarily follow the turkey aspect, but that said, obviously enjoy very much the holidays and appreciate everyone, our employees, our customers for the business, and I think it's a very important thing to be grateful for.
Yeah, and it's a very busy time of the year. It's very hard to kind of take a step back and pause and think about that. So I appreciate everybody who's joined today to have this discussion with us. So when you look back on the year, Pau, when we started, it was pretty interesting because we had already realized that we were evolving from a solution that helped to power content into a solution that was helping to both power content and create content. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I think that when we started Olapic, we saw an opportunity in leveraging a trend of consumers taking lots and lots and lots of pictures on Instagram and social channels. And I think that the opportunity was almost like 50-50, the opportunity of gathering huge amount of volume of high quality content, but also the authenticity that content transmitted to the brand. It's unadulterated content. It has that unique point of view by the consumer. And we've grown for the last few years a lot, helping brands bring that content, collecting it, making sense of the collection process through the curation and the moderation, but also obviously connecting that content back into the marketing stack, all those technology platforms that you've already invested in, whether it's the e-commerce platform or the email service provider or the advertising stack, and then try to link back the data of the performance of that content, how it's performing back into the curation process. And the reality is that we had done that we've been doing this over, I don't know, like 6 years now. And we've learned a ton, and we've been able to have the privilege to work with some of the best brands in the world. And one of the things that we realize is that as marketing continues to evolve, there's been a few trends that we've seen and a few opportunities that we've seen brands kind of struggle with, as well as obviously with every challenge, there's an opportunity that comes along. And those opportunities have fallen into 2 main categories, I would say. One is the ability to solicit content from professional or amateurish, but kind of getting into the professional space, what we would call an influencer, or a paid content creation, as well as the ability to untap the ability for the brand to use their own content or to expand their own content generation, what we would call brand generated content. And so if you think about content creation as a space and you think about it from the source of that content, who creates that content, Certainly, there's an opportunity to satisfy both the consumer-generated content, the influencer-generated content, and the brand-generated content. I think that 2017 has been the year for Olapic that has been a transformation in becoming the only visual marketing platform that specializes in influencer, brand, and consumer-generated content, which is what we offer today.
And to do that at scale too, right? I mean, it's hard to generate that amount of content to be able to cover all of your consumers' experiences and your products that you're selling to consumers. And so it's a matter of getting that content created both quickly and at a volume that's high enough that you'll be able to truly experience that with the brand.
Which is why then you tie it back to, a service component from an account management and a setup and a strategy perspective. It's very important also to link back into data science and use analytics to kind of really understand at that volume how to improve and optimize your decision making.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, there's also like a big aspect of enhancing and iterating on existing content that allows you to fully maximize the content, the raw content that you have. All, as you said, to kind of try to connect and satisfy all the bits and pieces in that customer journey that, as you know, it's been evolving a lot. It's becoming more and more convoluted. And our brands, our customers are obviously faced with the challenge of how do you satisfy a myriad of technology platforms that you try to touch in several points on that customer journey that may or may not be. It's evolving from a very streamlined funnel of a customer journey to somewhat of a convoluted back and forth, going in and going out and going back to your to the origin, and everything is blending together. So how do you do that, right?
Yeah, and we've seen that also with our own solutions, our clients' own solutions on their websites, where it's not enough anymore to have that shopping experience down to the product page, that last mile of the shopping experience. Because as you said, folks are coming in and out of that shopping journey. It's no longer linear. So we almost have to sort of pull that experience and pull that shopping journey up the funnel, if you will, and have solutions to do that as well.
Yeah, that's why one of the things that we have, for instance, is a product called Inspire, right? And Inspire gets inspired, for the lack of a better word, from products like innovations in the social space, actually. So you think about Pinterest, Shop the Look, or you think about Instagram shopping, and really what these networks are generating, these places in which consumers have gone there traditionally to get inspired for products and to kind of really understand or be aware of the latest trends. One of the things that we've seen is that by actually bringing shopping functionality into those channels, they are actually by jumping all of the process, the traditional consumer journey, right? Mm-hmm. So something that used to be more about inspiration and like collecting and saving things for the future so that you may one day kind of decide on making a purchase. Now you've like short-circuited all the way to the purchase, and Inspire is an attempt to kind of help brands bring some of those user experiences into their traditional channels.
Yeah, and if one of our clients' key measures is conversion as a measure of ROI and getting their return on the Olapic investment, that helps to accelerate that process and lead to a quicker and more engaging conversion at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things that some of our brands are starting to kind of get ahead of the trend is thinking about this way, right? So if you have an e-commerce experience, the e-commerce experience has been pretty much the same since the beginning of e-commerce, over a decade now, almost like 2 decades, one would say. Mm-hmm. And the experience has always been a fairly like linear funnel type of experience. You start in a homepage, you select a category, subcategory, and then end up in a product detail page. There's a lot of information that is valuable in that product detail page. And then finally you make a purchase. And I think that one of the things that that Instagram and Pinterest are kind of changing is the fact that those networks pretty much are visual at its core. It's all a lot about visual content. That visual content is essentially a lot of pictures and videos, and those videos suddenly have those hotspots that you can potentially purchase from. Sometimes they are displayed up front. Sometimes you have to click something to show them on the picture, but they are certainly there. And as more and more users of these networks, which pretty much now is almost everyone, use and educate themselves into this new way of shopping that is happening, as a reminder, at the inspiration and the awareness section of the funnel. The more they get used to that, the more awkward the traditional e-commerce experience is going to feel, right? And so Inspire, which is a product that allows you to display these hotspots as well on the e-commerce experience, all through the e-commerce experience, it's something that can help adapt to that trend that is already happening in the top of the funnel, right?
Yep.
But Justin, let me ask you, like, let's flip a little bit. Must be the aspartame in my Diet Coke days. What are you seeing as, some of the key, case studies, or some of the brands as they start thinking about putting together and setting up this content engine? Can you walk the audience into what are the steps, or what is unique about that process?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think it just starts with the technical implementation can be invasive. So when you go back to, the starting point is on your website, right? And on that website, we're essentially inserting code to various places on our client's website, whether it be on the product page, as you said, but more often now it's product page, but also a gallery on the home page or a gallery on the category page. And so as a result of that, it's an implementation that requires technical resources on both sides. Our solution architects are equipped to do a couple of things. One is to create the style and the design of what we're going to put on our client's website that fits right in with the style and the aesthetic of their website overall. So it's going to fit right in, it's going to blend right in. And the content that consumers are going to see is going to almost appear as if it's just part of the website experience, and also not that much different than just branded content. So that's number one. Number two is our solution architects are also equipped to build various integrations. And so one big integration that we have that we pride ourselves on is the ability to integrate our client's product feed. Our ability to integrate that product feed into our solution allows for the seamless tagging of products that do end up not only on the product page, but anywhere on our client's website, and even in Inspire, so that we know when a consumer clicks on the hotspot, they know what product it's tied to. So that's a big thing that we find that provides very quick value for our clients. So that's number two. And then number three, we also will build custom integrations as well. So we'll build a custom export so that our clients can take that content and push it to other places. We also, when you think about the marketing technology stack, that's also getting convoluted in a way because there are many, many different solutions out there, but we've got out-of-the-box integrations with many of them. And so clients see us as the hub, if you will, to connect all these other integrations where content can then get pushed out to an email service provider, get pushed out to a personalization engine, and really just integrate anywhere. So those are the three big things.
Where have you seen content be pushed out the most to?
So there's two very interesting examples. One is NYX Cosmetics, which is an awesome brand. It's part of the L'Oreal family. One thing that NYX has done is really have gone all in on their digital strategy and have authentic content be part of that digital strategy. So they've done a lot of different things that started out on the website, but then have expanded out into mobile and other places. But they've created an experience in their flagship store right here in New York City that when you walk in has a combination of authentic content that appears across the store in sort of a chandelier that hangs from the wall, but also a one-to-one interactive experience where you can scan a product and then you can look at how that product looks on other folks and real folks too, right? Not models or anything like that. And so it's such a personal experience that it expands that shopping experience out of the e-commerce site and connects the digital with with the actual physical in-store.
So when you scan a product, you basically get all the content that was associated with that product SKU, right?
Yeah.
So I guess that's why product feed integration is so important. But how do you then how does a brand tag those products back into each picture? I imagine that you collect thousands and thousands of pictures.
Yeah.
Like, how do you go about like tagging those products into those? That can be somewhat cumbersome.
Yeah, it is. And in this particular case, our moderation team is a service that we provide our clients that provides that ability. So there's a lot of content that comes back in, and that moderation team will take those thousands of photos and then not only take those thousands, but cull them down into the hundreds, let's say, that meet the brand's guidelines, but then be able to also look at what product that particular piece of content is associated with it, and then tag it. And once it's tagged and once the product feed is integration, then that content, that connection is made wherever you go.
It's interesting because maybe there's a good point for a little battle story from the grandpa here about how we came up with a moderation service. I think that one of the things that early on at Olapic we realized was how selecting content was very, very, very important, and also how it became a cumbersome task for a lot of large brands. Especially the more famous a brand is, the more popular the brand is, the bigger the volume of content the larger the volume of content that you will receive. And generally speaking, what we saw is our customers putting an intern, someone very junior in the marketing team to kind of curate and look at that content. And we realized that to some degree, that process could be either be seen as too labor intensive to be important, so to speak, that people were not necessarily paying the necessary attention. And so one of the things that we decided to do is to build a service that would ensure a high quality moderation as well, a very customized moderation, so to speak, because you had to see how could we outsource that service back to Olapic at its core, which is this essentially is our expertise, but also at the same time be flexible enough to adapt to all of the brand guidelines, all the little nuances of every single brand that could mean like you don't want selfies in a specific mirror selection, and so on and so forth, right? So ultimately, I think that that's some of the things that led us into investing there.
Yep, that's a great example of doing that. So let's talk a little bit about content creation. So we talked about both, the solution that we've powered and also the expansion of the shopping experience and how that has changed. But we have also now in 2017 delivered solutions that help create content in various forms.
Yeah, the reason for that is a very simple one. Olapic, or the Earn Content platform, pretty much works in a way in which brands push and engage their audience, their consumers, into submitting content. And then they look at the sky, pictures fall from the sky, and they pick the ones that they like, or we help them pick the ones that are more likely to succeed. And that's pretty much it, right? And oftentimes marketing teams put themselves in a position in which they need a very, very, very specific piece of content. And that could be because there's an upcoming campaign or an out-of-the-blue campaign that they need to get content for, and that they didn't gather that content before. Or it could be because they launch a new product and that new launch doesn't have the product that they need, or whatever it may be. And so one of the needs that we identified is the need for a brand to proactively ask for a specific type of content. And that's very, very, very hard to do on the Earn Content side of things. Right. So that's when we decided to look into the influencer space, not only less so for the reach, if you will, that influencer would have in the sense of influencing an audience, although it is important and it's a source of value, but also in the way that it gave control to the brand on requesting that specific amount of content that could allow them to fulfill a specific needs that the brand has. Like, I don't know, how have you seen brands use the creative platform?
So, one good example is Banana Republic. When you look at their website, a lot of the content, interestingly enough, that they have across many of their products are consumer generated, but there's a mix of that consumer generated content across your sort of normal user and in some cases ambassadors of the brand, all the way up to micro influencers. And because of that mix, they've been able to increase their product coverage across many products. A lot of the clients that we find the best success with are ones where we work with them to make sure that they prioritize which products they want content for. And when we say content, we're really talking about at least having 2 to 4 images per product, right? And if our clients do a really good job of prioritizing which products are the ones that are going to drive the most traffic and ultimately the highest amount of sales, we're going to focus on making sure that we get that content associated with that product. And that's where we found success here. You mentioned also earlier about product launches, right? So it's very difficult, and it's a chicken and an egg scenario when there's turkey and an egg, right? Since we're in the holiday spirit here, to generate content, but the product's not out yet, right? So what do? Do you launch the product and then you've got sort of this empty thing on your webpage until you wait for people to buy the product and take pictures of it and post it? This is a really good use case to then say to 20 people, we're going to give you this product. These are the types of images that we want. What happens there is it becomes a little bit of a snowball effect. So it starts with those 20 people, but once those images are taken and they're taken in a certain look, angle, style, lighting, etc., everybody else on social sees that, wants to do the same thing, and it creates this momentum, and then all of a sudden you've got all this great content.
And that ties a little bit to one of the challenges that oftentimes customers are facing, right, which is product coverage. So can you speak a little bit about product coverage and how we think about coverage in general?
Yeah, so typically, or traditionally, I would say we've looked at really just coverage as I was saying. So, anywhere from 2 to 4 images per product. And what that does is it fills out the experience on on our client's webpage. But we've tilted that a little bit over the last year or so to help clients think about how to prioritize. And so we offer our clients analytics that tell them which products are getting the most traffic, and we can do the correlation between traffic and the number of images per product that's associated with that traffic. And by doing that, we help them prioritize, right? So instead of them coming to us, we'll create that sort of partnership of, hey, these products are the ones for which you have 0 to 2 images per. We should be focusing on those, and then we develop the solutions like using influencers or micro influencers through our platform to be able to generate that content.
So to some degree, it's almost like not all products are the same, right? So the idea is how to think about the strategy in terms of ensuring that you have enough product coverage, and how then do you leverage all the different set of tools that we offer to be able to fulfill and maximize.
Yeah, because most of our clients have their core products and then they have their accessories, right? So we're not necessarily going to be, working very hard to get, content posted by users on socks. But if there's a new shoe and that shoe is hot and it's generating a lot of buzz, that's where we want to focus, and that's where we're going to try to get the most content and the highest quality content.
What excites us from a perspective of the Olapic Creator Platform, one of the questions that I often get is, what is different about this network? Why should we invest in this? There's so many influencer networks out there that why should I use this? And I think that what is important to state is a couple of things. One is that this is more of like a workflow process tool that is particularly designed for the enterprise. So it's an end-to-end management system for running all of those campaigns and managing and nurturing the network of influencers that you have. And that's a very important nuance, because it also allows you to bring your own influencers, to incorporate your own network if you haven't already an existing one.
Right.
And then furthermore, I think that the part that is super, super interesting is how can then in the future tie what you're doing on the earned content platform, how you are collecting from the vast majority of your consumers, and then how are you identifying the ambassadors of those of those consumers that can potentially make it to the influencer platform, right? Yeah. And so suddenly you have the best of both worlds. You have the earned content platform firing on all cylinders. You also have the influencer network, and the influencer network feeds off from the earned content platform as well.
Yeah, we have a brand that is a parent company of about 5 sister brands associated with it, and they've just started to use the creator platform. And you hit on the 2 key things that they said to us were pain points. The first one was that all of the 5 brands were all managing their set of folks that they call influencers on spreadsheets. And so whenever one particular brand started a campaign, they looked to their list and generated the campaign off of that list. But the other 4 brands had no idea who they were using, right? And the second thing is this brand has an affiliate program, and the affiliate program has common people and ambassadors that they use across the entire corporate office, but it's not all in one place. And so they are super excited to be using this because it tackles the workflow issue, gets everything out of the spreadsheets and gets everything into one place. And then number 2, because they have their own affiliate program already, they've already got a list of a couple of thousand people that they can plug right into this rather than have to tap into the network.
Great.
So we've talked about that. Let's talk a little bit about content that is, all the content we've talked about so far is really about static content, but we've now gone into the video space, which is, as many might know, is a super hot space in general. Video is driving both performance and marketing campaigns and advertising and that sort of thing. But we've got our own solution that helps to power video content as well.
Yeah, I mean, and here maybe battle story number 2 about the creation of content in motion. I think that we kept hearing from our customers a lot of questions around how can we collect video content from Twitter, from Instagram, from Facebook, etc. And what we identified, even though we can collect, because it's part of the process for the earned content platform, you can collect video content. The amount of content that we were collecting was smaller, and I think that spoke to a little bit the user behavior, and more importantly, the quality of the content was harder. It's almost like anyone can take a very, very good picture thanks to Instagram, but no one has really figured out the way of generating great video content. I think that it also is very different. It's a very different type of media. Like the picture is something that has a perception on the brand side that is very different from a video asset. And so the video asset requires to be almost like very, very perfect. Everything, not only the storyline, but also kind of the transitions and like all of those little nuances that make a video perfect. And so what we realize is that the likelihood that a user-generated video was going to fit perfectly a brand was going to be very, very, very small. But we did have a significant amount of static content. We had certainly a lot of user-generated content, and we had a lot of like branded content due to the product feed integration. We had all the content of the products themselves. And so we came up with a crazy idea, because it was a crazy idea at the beginning, of what if we instilled life into those still images and turned them into videos. So some of the examples that you're seeing right now are little videos, short form videos, 1 to 5 or 1 to 10 seconds, that allow you to turn that start off as a specific image, and then they become essentially moving images that therefore content in motion. And we do that through a series of recipes. And I think that this is very unique and very appealing because, as you all know, video is a growing trend. You have a significant amount of channels now, from Snapchat to Instagram stories to Facebook, that is essentially changing fundamentally the possibility for brands to reach an audience via video content. And yet, producing video is extremely expensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's insane. And so what you have is that most brands, what they do is that they put a big budget into a big production agency and they produce video. Maybe they produce a few videos a year, maybe they don't produce at all. And as a result, then what they do is that they chop and they repurpose and they re-edit, which an agency will also charge a significant amount of money to do that, and eventually use that and repurpose that video to push it into those social media channels or for any other purpose. So what we thought was, what if we created a set of quote unquote recipes, recipes that would allow a brand to turn still images into videos, and that's where Content in Motion came from.
Yeah, and two things that we've found. We've been working very closely with Facebook on this as well, and we've found that the ability to produce these assets very quickly is a key pain point for clients, like you said, which disrupts the agency model a little bit, but it helps to create videos and get them out quickly, because your own marketing calendar might change very quickly in terms of what's coming up and what needs to be promoted when. The second thing is about length. And so what is interesting and unique about this is that we're talking about 5 to 7 seconds, right? We're not talking about a 30-second spot or even a 15-second spot. And that is driving better cost per completed video, better viewability, the ability to advertise within Instagram stories, which is becoming a new thing, which you can't necessarily do with a 30-second spot. You're going to lose their attention. And so those are two aspects of this that's really helping to drive performance.
I think that the other piece that I think it's interesting is that a lot of brands, there's two types of brands, the ones that were not doing video and the ones that were doing video before. The ones that are doing video before, they see it almost as a cost saving. Before, they would spend an obscene amount of money to produce 3 video rolls. Now, maybe they produce 2 and they get hundreds and hundreds of videos out of Content in Motion. For those, usually the mindset is, okay, these are the things that I could do with video, so now I replace them with something that is essentially cheaper. But I think that one of the key aspects that we are starting to see in the more advanced customers is the use cases for video that had never been thought before, right? It's really interesting to see how brands at the beginning were certainly not collapsed by the hundreds and thousands of pictures that we provide them, but certainly we would provide 20 videos a month and they would almost saturate, right? And so then suddenly there's a mindset that shifts in which the brand says, oh, hold on, maybe where I had a picture, now I can have a video. And if you think about it, the entire web is extremely static. So it's a bunch of text, it's a bunch of pictures. And in a world that is pretty much fundamentally static, video can be a very, very, very great way of differentiating, right? And so that's why we call it thumb-stopping moment, because as you scroll and everything looks the same and everything is static, the moment that something captures that little amount of movement that doesn't have to be very long,
that's right,
that can generate that nudge of attention that makes, oh, this is something that is important.
Yeah, which drives the performance in advertising, right? So the ability to catch the eye drives brand awareness, can drive a little bit of instruction, right, in terms of how to use the product. It can get down to that level of detail. It can be about where to buy, how to buy. It can click right into that shopping experience that we were talking about before. So a lot of what we do with clients with Content in Motion is not only work to design and then build these video assets, but then also work with them to determine where they need to go and when they need to go there in order to drive the highest performance and get your return on advertising as well.
And just a nuance for that, we obviously support HTML5 to be able to do that, which is a much more efficient way of serving advertising in a way that the creative can be molded to certain specific audiences. But what is interesting is that you can start to see the parallelism between what we're doing there with what we used to do with the Earn Content platform, right? It wasn't only about collecting user-generated content. It is also about deploying that content elsewhere. What we usually say at Olapic is that the content itself may not be as very valuable, but it's actually the use that you make out of the content that is very, very, very valuable. And so the more you use a specific piece of content, and the more you know that that content actually performs, the more value that inherent piece of content has. And therefore, that's why it's so important to always try to tie it to specific analytics and to specific performance data.
Right, exactly. So are there any questions out there that we could start to answer here? I think, yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say that obviously we've been working with a significant amount of brands, and oftentimes one of the challenges that our customers, especially at the beginning, or prospect customers have is the process about convincing the entire organization that this is something that is important, right? And I think that fundamentally this is because of a few reasons, but one of those main reasons is that Olapic or any content solution is pretty much a horizontal value added that can contribute significant channels. We've been talking about e-commerce, we've been talking about email, we've been talking about advertising, about social media management. So there's a lot of people that can be certainly benefited by all of this content that gets generated. And so how do you think that is important? How do you see customers bring their extended teams into this type of conversation? Or what are the key aspects that can make that convincing broader organization easier?
Yeah, I think in the short term, it starts with going live on a solution, right? So starting with a solution that is driven by the content engine that appears on our client's website. We typically can get a client live in anywhere from 60 to 80 days. And as I was saying before, that reason for that is because it's a very highly technical implementation. But once that happens, that creates momentum. And that momentum all comes from where we can source that content from. And so I think in the short term, it's really about aligning our technical resources to get that client live and up and running very quickly, and then showing the analytics on how that content's performing on their website for starters, and then in other channels after
that. And how does that relate to, for instance, why would Olapic be like differentiate from a competitor, so to speak? So why Olapic and why now? Why is this something that in the business of the holidays and the code freeze era, like why should we be talking about this and not wait until next year?
So that's a great question. So what I'm seeing now with a lot of our clients is that even though they're finishing the year and it's a super busy and they've just got their eye on finishing out the year, they're also doing all their strategic planning for next year. And all that strategic planning has to be driven by how they are going to grow themselves, and that growth is going to come from the experience that they provide their consumers. So the why now is about starting that conversation now and starting to solution that now. Because the sooner you do that, the quicker you're going to be live with the solution in January or early February. And then you've got that whole year to build momentum, right? Why Olapic, I think, comes from a number of different things. Number one, we've got the resources to help our clients get up and running quickly. So we talked a little bit earlier about our solution architects that'll help our clients design the right solution. We've got a team of folks, though, that are project managers as well. And those project managers are dedicated to help manage the entire workflow of getting our clients up and running, number one. They help manage the entire workflow of creating the content that we just talked about via the content creator platform as well as Content in Motion. They'll help to manage expectations with our client contacts. So they are a resource for our client to help make sure that we're progressing and making them successful as well. And then, of course, we've got our technical support team that's dedicated to making sure that all of that happens smoothly without any bumps in the road. So we've got the team of people and the resources that I think others don't necessarily have that will help get our clients to a successful outcome much more quickly.
I think that on top of that, one of the aspects that is, I think, an important competitive differentiator is is the ability to grow into a solution, right? So as you were saying before, you may want to start with one specific integration, but then the evolution of that customer in that specific solution or expanding into other content needs could require you to grow into other providers. And again, we already have a lot of marketing providers already, right? So I think that one of the aspects is to think a little bit more of long-term ahead and try to understand that if you want to start with your own content and then eventually you want to tap into video, that then you can do that easily through Olapic by actually tapping into the solutions that are already embedded into our solution, right? On top of that, as you can see, one of the things that we've been discussing today is kind of this obsession around measuring performance of content. We are strong believers that clear ROI and performance metrics are going to be the norm in the future of marketing as a whole. And therefore, for the most part, because it's also going to help educate all the value chain of content creation all the way to content distribution and content usage and content engagement. And therefore, we've been investing a significant amount of money over the last 4 years in building the machine learning and the artificial intelligence that essentially grabs all of these data points out of the performance with all our roster of customers, the billions and billions of transactions that then we can use as data to kind of educate our engine into, and therefore you, into performing better. And this is being applied both on the moderation. So moderation times can actually be reduced between 2 and 3 times. It can be applied to content selection and content distribution as well.
Yeah, which is all about speed, right? So whereas we've got our technical implementation and we help to get our clients up and running quickly, getting content in can happen immediately, right? So just so the collection and the moderation of that content happens within days. The ability to develop those templates and those recipes for content in motion can take a few weeks, but a few weeks of those templates can turn into a multiplier of those templates into dozens and dozens of video assets as well. So while we help to get our clients technically ready, content is already coming in and can be collected and scaled up very quickly to then start to be used, even just if it's back on social, right? Start that social promotion so that when the website is up and running, all of that comes together and is ready. Great.
So thank you, everyone. This is all of the time that we have.
This has been great.
Hopefully it was informative. Also, hopefully you got a little bit more of the nuances behind the vision and why we do the things that we do and how we do them. And certainly wish that that all of you have a very, very, very successful holiday season with a lot of e-commerce and a lot of transactions. It already looks like it's trending better than last year, which is awesome.
It's great.
And I don't know if you want to add anything
No,
else.
that's it. Thank you, pal. Appreciate it. This has been a great conversation. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thanks for taking the time. I know, like Pal said, it's a very busy time of the year, but it was great offering some insight and information to all of you, and we hope to see you soon.
Thank you.
Take care.